right, I should be live. If I'm loud, will it wake up the baby?
No, you're good, man.
Okay. Well, welcome to the Smith Lab. Okay. This is Portland is burning. I almost said Portland is boring.
You would have been forgiven. You would have been right, but it's all good.
Okay, we're gonna talk about having kids and working. So I have got a very a controversial opinion, and I'm gonna talk to a dad. And I didn't even ask him to do this, but he has to be taking care of his kid now, so it lines up. So everything he says is gonna sound even more powerful because he's holding a kid in his arms. But my controversial opinion is that even though it's a lot of work to raise a kid, I think that everybody wants to raise their kids. Okay, this is not just a simple thing. Okay, I'll line it out and then you can just respond, okay? All right. Like, I think everybody who wants to have kids wants to raise them. And nobody wants to have to always be away from their kid working a job. I think that the whole narrative that it's the same, like it is a lot of work to raise kids, obviously. I used to work in a daycare. I used to supervise one. It had like 90 kids turnover every day. And I know it's a lot of work, but I think that the reason that we say that it's a job the same way as a job is a job, or a career is a job, is from a time when women were enslaved to that role and they didn't have a choice. But now I feel like I want to take care of my kids. And if we talk about it, like I want to say I would consider it a luxury to be able to do that.
I mean, I think you're right in that, like, the modern state of like economic organization kind of necessitates it being a luxury for you to be able to do that instead of going out and earning an income on a regular basis. But as far as the realistic day-to-day of it, depending on, I mean, the kind of child you have and the level of attention that you dedicate to it, I'd say that like it's definitely it's kind of subjective, in terms of the amount of luxury that you're really going to experience in your day-to-day life just because you get to stay at home and raise your child instead of going out into the world. Like, for me, I have a really, really autonomous work environment. I go out into the world and like sell weed to, to commercial stores, and I have no like clock in or clock out. I have a really, what a lot of people would consider like a really comfortable work-life balance, but at the same time, like I don't, my 2-year-old screaming in the background right now because she doesn't want anybody else. She wants me. And I have a level of just like, you can't take breaks from your kids like you can from a job in the same kind of structured and, state mandated way. If my daughter doesn't want anyone else to give me a break, it's like they're going to have a really hard time talking her out of like that stance and giving me even like a small break to do something like this that's totally recreational. So,
Right.
I mean, it's oh man, I hear that scream in the background. If it gets worse, I might need to take a 5-minute pause to go switch children and like try and chill that one out for a second.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
it kind of speaks to the point though, right?
I
Like,
feel guilty. I feel guilty.
no, you shouldn't feel guilty, but it's just like I never know if she's going to be like completely terrible or not when I step away for a few minutes. She's got my mom and my cousin down there and all the comforts that you could want, but she just like she wants me, so I don't have the, there's just like something to be said about being able to step away without feeling this tremendous amount of guilt that I feel right now and that you feel by proxy, just to try and do something simple like this. It can be challenging for sure.
Yeah, because it kind of makes you like a second class citizen to them. Because,
Yeah.
like once you have a kid, they come first.
Yeah, and you are a servant to them, full-fledged. Like, if my daughter wants something from me, it is pretty much like I have to accommodate it in some way or find a way to distract her from it, or like it's on me to deal with the situation. I can't let it resolve itself. So
How do you
like,
feel about the part of what I said where, like, so the thing I think that makes that, because I think that's has its own horror to it, but we kind of choose that. I mean, you have more than one kid, so the second one you knew what you were getting into, kind of, right?
Well, I've only had this one for a month.
Okay.
So, like, I had no idea what I was getting into in terms of having two small children at the same time.
Okay.
In terms of having one, I was pretty equipped for that. But, like, right now, I can handle this pretty comfortably. But the one freaking out in the background right now because she turns 2 tomorrow. She's going
Mm-hmm.
through new stuff every day.
Mm-hmm.
So that part's not predictable at all. And yeah, unfortunately, I do feel like I'm gonna need to go switch kids. I'm gonna need to take 5 minutes. I'm really sorry. I'll be right
Don't
back.
be sorry.
Okay?
Yeah. Interesting. Um, so I'm going to ask him when he gets back how he feels about the part of what I was saying, that I think that I believe we kind of choose to have kids, and there's a kind of a horror to it, but it's also fulfilling. And if you're enslaved or forced to do that against your will, like women have been in history, that makes it really different, and it's not the same. That's what I believe is the case with the rhetoric. And I'm going to bring in some guest speakers. I'm going to talk about common law marriage, which is apparently something XQC is going through defending against. And I think common law marriage is similarly a archaic token of the past, when women were not liberated to get their own jobs and empowered to have their own career and their own lifestyle, and it was assumed that if you dumped a woman and she was just useless and she had no way of supporting herself. I think that if you're a woman and you're living with XQC and you're a streamer, and she seems like she's a streamer getting decent income, and being with him probably increased her career. She didn't sacrifice her career to be with him. It made her career better, and it fostered her career. And in that being the case, that's absolutely contrary to the point of common law marriage. It's common law marriage is because you sacrifice your life to be a domestic servant to someone. That's why you have protections, so that when you get dumped, you're not fucking on the street. That's the point of common law marriage. So I think that we have a lot of archaic ways of thinking about the relationship between men and women in the household. And we should try to evolve. Let's see. Might as well. I'm going to undo that. I'm just going to leave it like that for a second. But might as well read a bit of poetry. Let me see. Here we go. Okay. Okay. This is poetry I've written. Monkey see, monkey dooma. Dooma, 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 dooma. Truma. Trooper, I am super cuter. Oven mitt. Zooted like a zoomer boomer. Sit down, study it. Boink, boink, I'm poinked. Smoke it, float it, I am loaded. Fiddler like an undertow. Flush the puck. Suck it, blow it. Hose it down for dinner, ho. I got shit in this for doing. Always messy. Fucking lose it. Get low, I owe you tit for garbage. We eat rare gems and opals. Gatarpis mit sauce. Cuckoo housed. Fitting under match. Cuckoo dick patch. Baboont, q food dunt. Tanya Tiger was awesome. Cabin just tank about SpongeBob, Tony Hawk, boink. God, I should be really. I should really write something. Explode that ass. Fuck yeah. Living it up in the house all night with six pack and some chicken pretty ladies. When a man cries, a woman does not get wet. When man cries, a woman does not get wet. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Girl, I could put my dick in any hole, but I want to put my dick in your hole. I like... Okay, here we go. Yeah. Pibint, Fart Cloud, Sound Cloud, Monkley, Lena Bop, hey hey. Okay.
All right. Well,
Did you hear any of that?
no, damn
Okay,
it. I
that's-
just sorry. I'm
That's good.
trying to get
don't
everything
apologize.
chilled out for at least the next few minutes. What did I miss?
I was reading some poetry. We're reading some poetry.
Oh, nice. My wife's here in the background, but I don't know if she heard any of it. No, kind of quiet.
Okay.
Oh well, maybe next time.
Get my notes back up. Okay, yeah. So I did also mention common law marriage, and I mentioned XQC. There's some streamer drama bullshit, but apparently he had like a girlfriend for like 4 years, and she is leaving him, and she's claiming common law marriage. And I made the argument that, and so she's also a streamer, and her career benefited from her being his partner. I think that's contrary to the point of common law marriage, because common law marriage comes from I think it's archaic, and it comes from a time when women sacrificed their career and their livelihood to be a domestic servant to a man, and so when they got left on the street, it's like you have nothing. And if her career was actually like catalyzed by being with him, that's kind of against the point that common law marriage is to protect someone against. And similarly, that's where I think that the attitude, I believe that where we see work and raising kids as one and the same type of thing, I think that's what it comes from.
There's probably, I mean, yeah, there's some truth to that for sure. And I don't think that it's necessarily bad to have like the institutional safeguard that would represent somebody still being able to fall back on that kind of on that societal expectation if they were raised and socialized in more conservative and traditional fashions that kind of like left them in a position where they were unable to provide for themselves in even a livable manner, as a result of just like not being prepared to enter the workforce immediately and having their husband like die or desert them. That's still something that I think is an important aspect of kind of the institution of government's role in maintaining some level of like enforcing some level of like lifestyle expectation. But when you look at things like alimony and the institutions that take that same principle and extrapolate it out to like any lifestyle accommodations that you may not want to move away from, I think that that's pretty unhealthy and an abusive aspect of the system that I think we should do away with. So I'm in support of systems that take care of people who are raised in those super conservative and traditional backgrounds and aren't prepared to utilize the options that women have now.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think there's some imbalance in that whole, like the way the entire system is kind of managed across the social spectrum right now, if that makes sense.
Right. Do you see the connection I'm making where
Yeah, I see the connection you're making. But I don't see that as like fundamentally speaking to a lower value for or like a lower level of obligation for the people who are expected to provide that role as like the caretaker in the home versus the people who are expected to go out and work careers and provide for the family. Like
Mhm.
I see that as still being something that's generally good and representative of what is a pretty fair share of like the work and obligate like the workload and the
Yeah.
obligations that go along with raising a family.
Sure. Yes. It's just that I want to raise my own kids. If I have kids, I want to raise them, and
Right.
I feel like as a man, I feel like saying that makes me sound way more entitled than a woman saying that. Um,
I think that that's probably like how you feel society hears it, but do you hear it that way?
no. Um,
Okay.
I don't think any individual hears it that way. It's just that I guess.
Well, some people internalize like traditional societal expectations and they, like they would say they have the same expectations for themselves. Some
Th-
people would say like I think it's fundamentally the man's place to go out and earn
right,
the money and that to neglect that duty in favor of like taking care of the home, like that's a woman's job. Some
right.
people would say that and would like embody those ideologies, even though I don't agree with them.
Well, yeah, but
So,
the response that I get, I got this from like a lot of like women in particular. Like I'll talk about this, and because I love talking about this kind of thing with women, and I do it a lot as much as I can. Um, and we'll come to like a common place of like emotional understanding. And we'll like understand each other, and they'll be like, "Oh, that makes total sense. I understand where you're coming from, but good luck with that." Kind of like, so they're on the same page as me, but they're also like, good luck with that, like they're like, oh, it's not reasonable. um so
I think
yeah.
I think that's yeah, probably like what I was saying. Some people have the idea that like they're aware of that social expectation, but they don't believe in it. Um, but they still kind of are aware of it and will like tell you to expect it. There are people that will tell you like that is and should be the way it is. And then there are people that will tell you like I'm probably a minority of people that consider themselves like the most progressive on the topic will tell you you should not compromise any part of that for like traditional expectations and norms. You should find someone that respects that desire and is willing to like incorporate it into their lifestyle. And it's not totally unreasonable for some men in the modern age to say like I don't want to be the breadwinner, I want to stay at home and take care of the family. Hell, honestly man, like my wife has been really really getting her feet under her and like starting her own business the last year, and I have been really burnt out in terms of my professional just day-to-day grind that I've been like with the same company for 7 years now. I have a pretty good ability to exercise a lot of autonomy at work, but at the same time I get phone calls from customers and stuff 7 days a week. I get text messages and stuff that start at like 7 o'clock in the morning. I have very, very high like expectations, and because I have a say it like a performance-driven job, there's never a day that goes by where I'm not like worried about the call that I didn't make or the sale that I didn't close or what. Like I take my work home with me, and it follows me home a lot more than your average person probably. So it sounds amazing to me, the idea of being able to stay home, take care of my children, and be here for a lot of their formative years and help her like nurture the business side of what she's doing instead of being out in the like out in the grind for another 7 years. Like I would love nothing more than that, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with wanting that, even if I feel like it's difficult to obtain. It's like a worthy goal, if that makes sense.
Right. I think something I didn't like come across. So is like if I'm talking to a woman about this and you're having like intimate exchange, talking about what your personal desires are, you kind of, and you're meeting a new person and you're kind of like assessing each other, and then there comes like oh well I see you I see the beautiful person that is you, but also like I want that, so you're not gonna get that from me. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm talking about, and
Yeah.
so that's why I feel like I feel like I feel entitled, like I'm seen
But
as entitled. But I see
well, okay.
women as entitled for that too. So I
Right,
guess we're
right.
all looking
So
at each
that's
other
like
the same way.
Exactly. So that's like what I was saying is like you don't feel you're entitled for wanting that, but you feel you're viewed as entitled for wanting that on like a societal level in terms of just the general expectations people have for men and the expectations you've had kind of communicated to you by women. You feel like that is viewed as a kind of entitlement, wanting that in general, right?
Yeah, well, it's in the face of the entitlement I think women have because they feel like they're entitled to take care of the kids and stuff. Another place to because I have some notes here. It's like this conversation. We could loop on this, but we seem to agree.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so when we extrapolate, and there's also after this, I might want to ask you about weed because I quit weed a while back. But anyway, so how do you feel if the domestic work and domestic role doesn't involve kids? Is that an entitlement? I think it is. I mean, I would love that. Uh, I think that any woman that gets that and doesn't use that to give herself a leg up and kind of make a career for herself or follow her passions or her dreams or whatever, and she's just just has fun. If you get that free ride, just fucking go for it. Like get your shit together. You have the opportunity. That's how I feel.
Um, well, yeah, I think I wouldn't have much pushback on that, except for to add again that like I think men are capable of doing the same thing. Like they don't necessarily have to survive off of romantic partners. Like they don't have the same cultural expectation that they'll survive off romantic partners. A lot of the time it comes from like family, it comes from places of generational wealth and stuff like that when you see men behave that way. But it's definitely not exclusive to men. Anybody that thinks that they just deserve to not have to work and to be able to kind of just relax and do their own thing, yeah, that's a kind of entitlement that I don't really have much sympathy for. It's like I love the sound of that, but holy shit, I also really like eating and I really like living indoors and I don't expect anybody else to provide those things for me. So, and unfortunately,
Right.
like my experience in the world kind of like tells me that my expectations are correct. Like people will in fact not provide those things for me if I don't provide them for myself. So, kind of
Yeah.
have to go with go with the societal expectation there that like yeah you're expected to pay your own way. But yeah, if you don't have the motivation to, then like look inward. But like I'm not going to be able to get inside of you and like force you to want more for yourself if you have a free ride already. Like I can understand why some people end up lazy, complacent, and from personal experience, I was tempted to say like lazy, complacent losers that never contribute anything to society, but I don't want to like overgeneralize.
Well, oh shit.
Hey, is your camera frozen or is it my screen?
Yes, my camera's frozen. Hold on. No, my camera is absolutely frozen. Hold on, let me try to reconnect it or something. I plugged something into my computer. Windows button. Oh yeah, the system sounds. That's because you can't see me holding it up, but I just unplugged something from my computer so I could unplug the charging cord from my headphones. Yeah. And now my thing's frozen. Hold on. Fuck. Remove. Add. There we go. Oh, that's not the right one. Okay. There we go. Fix it all back to the way it was. So what was I saying? What was I saying before I took this artistic adventure? Oh, I was talking about yeah. So my bias and my where I come from in this conversation of like the free ride thing comes in context see, I'm plugging my headphones in, of going to art school, which is 70% women. And a lot of girls that go to art school end up with guys that, and it's not like they all end up with like rich guys, but they all end up with guys that help support them to having a career in the arts, that they are able to fend for themselves. But it takes a lot of support to get there. To be an artist takes a lot of support to get there. And as a guy watching all these women kind of get that, and I got a lot of resentment because of that. And now I studied, I'm trying to unload on you, but my backstory here, like I'm that lazy guy right now because but I need to fucking defend myself. I studied JavaScript and web development for 2 years, and I didn't make any art. And then I started doing this a couple months ago, instead of getting the job, because I was inspired. And
I've heard you speak on it a couple of times. I watched you talk to, I think it was like maybe Not So Erudite and Brittany Simon or Madame Genevieve.
oh yeah. Wow, you watched that one. Oh, that's an embarrassing stream.
I mean, like, it was very humanizing, honestly. I don't know that it was like, like the best showing of like, come watch my content, but it was like, okay, I understand why this guy wants to make content. And I like, my full disclosure, like my wife's education and career are both in like the art field, and she is really, really, really extremely talented, but she was never really given any kind of like emotional support to try to follow her pursuits seriously. And I think that between that and the expectation that you are going to need some financial support, you are going to need some level of like financial flexibility to experiment and see what works. Like, these are reasonable expectations if people can find ways to like make those goals realistic and not sacrifice a tremendous amount to their day-to-day quality of life in terms of just like going super in debt or anything like that. I think that there's a lot of reasons to pursue that kind of that kind of career. It seems a lot more gratifying than something that like something like what I do.
Sure. Well, I'm not trying to weigh them against another, but I guess if we're weighing having kids against things, we're agreeing too much, motherfucker. Okay. Anyway, I need to find
enough guy. I didn't come here to like change your mind. I was just like, I don't like doing fucking one-on-one arguments. I do like panel arguments and then one-on-one conversations, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I'll disagree with you about some stuff if you want, though. I mean, what the fuck was up with that dog mask?
Oh, that dog mask?
Dog mask, man. The dog mask was like the most uncomfortable I've been in a minute. I felt like we were watching the beginning of one of those horror movies that like tries way too hard to play into modern technological tropes and is like, oh, now Smeth's gonna just appear behind each of us periodically in the dog mask, and then like,
well, you were on the panel of someone who the next day was having a panel called the Dog Fucker Panel. So I mean, I feel like I wasn't really breaching any social contract there.
The silence of it all was
okay.
Like
The science. Terrible. Okay, so that during that period. Okay, so I 3 hours before that stream, I restarted my computer because I had a slight audio issue, a very minor audio issue. I was like, I'm just going to restart. And then it failed to boot. And it failed to boot over and over. And I had to like install Windows. So before that stream, and also I was on Chud Logic's stream talking about some drama bullshit. While fixing all that shit, I was on that phone doing that while fixing my computer, reinstalling everything, speedrunning to get a stream set up. And so that's why it was coming through like the wrong camera, and my audio didn't work, and I had the mask on though. And yeah, there you have it.
I thought there was great artistic value to it at the end of the day, because I thought it might have been just like performance art with
it was
the
supposed to be
intention of creeping us out. So.
Well, I mean, sort of. I mean, I mean,
The
you got
silence.
more uncomfortable than anyone else. You got some kink shame thing. That's why I asked you in DMs. What is your feeling about kink shaming?
I I didn't think that it was, again, like the dog mask aspect of it was just like the tip of the iceberg. The silence and like
Yeah.
the general like confusing and eerie nature of the like the lighting and the camera and stuff looked like something that you would see in like a ransom video.
Yes, yes, it
So
did. It did absolutely. I'm actually
fuck
really upset that on my stream it didn't come through like that because they had this camera, and the camera
yeah.
that was actually coming through was yeah, it was this one. Yeah, this one. And
Your camera feed's still frozen on my end.
oh, it is. Oh, sorry about that. I'll just fix that for you real quick.
You're good.
Discord crashed. He'll be back in a second. Discord loves to do this. Wow, look how bad that looks. Wonderful. Okay,
Well,
he's back.
his name. So
Um,
like puns. Charm.
here's my camera. Yeah. Oh, it's still frozen. Wow, that's very interesting.
It's still frozen on that exact same image.
Yeah, well, that was interesting. I just restarted the virtual cam, maybe. Interesting. I think I may need to restart OBS. Wait,
yeah.
actually, no, I know what it is. Source. Scene. Source. There we go. I got
He's
you.
back. Okay, so where were we? We
Okay.
covered the we covered the reason that you feel entitled when you want these things, but like honestly, I think we're on the same page. Like, it's a worthwhile thing to want to work in an artistic field, and like, yeah, you might find yourself at a point where you end up with the need to like take a job and do this
Yeah, I mean,
on the
I'm
side.
not.
And
Yeah,
kinda,
absolutely. I'm not against doing that. It's just that the people that hate me and stuff, they'll use this absolutely to insult me and stuff. Absolutely go right for it. Um, okay, but I don't fucking need to defend myself, and you're not one of those people right now. So I want to talk to
True.
you about weed right now. Okay, I quit it like 3 months ago when I started streaming because I find all I ever did was edibles. You just mentioned briefly that you do something with weed, right?
I'm a commercial weed sales rep, so
Okay.
I work for a big company that makes every kind of weed product under the sun, no pun intended. And then I go sell them to dispensaries. I started as a medical grower before this, like at the age of 18. And I did that for like 6 years before recreational laws started to take hold in the area, and then started to transition, worked in like in the retail side of things for a little while, and now I have just worked in like direct sales to stores for the last 7 years. So
All right. So are you gonna try to get me to do weed again?
you gotta do weed, Smith. I mean, you seem like you're extremely high strung right now. Like the stress of the streaming world might be getting the better of you, and like you might be having trouble sleeping. I think that there's definitely
Mhm.
some No, I don't give a fuck what you do. Like I sell weed to the people who buy it to like sell it to somebody else. I don't need to sell it. I just need to like get
Yeah.
it in front of people, you know?
Well, so
That's
do you
Mine's
do
a
weed?
numbers game. It's like dating or something. I just need to find enough people that like me, and I
Right.
need to
Right.
hang
Right.
out with them all the time.
So do you do weed?
I do weed. I
Okay.
do
You seem
I
very
do marijuana.
sharp for some. Okay. So, but the reason I stopped, but I think it's notable that I only mainly did edibles, and I find that like edibles, like after after the high, there's like there's like a day and a half of being like slightly dumber, and
Um,
I noticed like you know what like if I'm sharper, I sound better and I have better conversations, so I'm gonna just stop.
that's fair. You know, I kind of feel the same way about like drinking. I don't like to drink before a stream because I tend to be a little rambly and just a little bit more aggressive and a little less coherent than I like to be. But
Mhm.
I mean, for doing weed, I can do as much weed as you want and have a conversation right at this like tier and cadence pretty much indefinitely. So
Mm.
it's just some people I think have different experiences than others. I just tend to operate at a pretty high level of like stress and emotional awareness already. So I like bringing it down a couple of notches if the opportunity presents itself.
Can you
And
be fine without it?
no, yeah, I've been on vacations and stuff where we don't have access to weed or where it's like extremely impractically expensive or something like that. And it's always, I mean, it's perfectly fine. There's no like withdrawal phase or anything like that. The most negative impact will be like probably the first 24 hours, I'll have like a reduced appetite. But that's
Yeah.
really just like a lack of the munchies. It's not like an actual like lack of appetite that I would be concerned about otherwise. So,
So when you first stop, this is a very common thing I find. If you first stop after any period, you're gonna have really vivid dreams for that night.
I've definitely noticed that like the more I even if I just take like the majority of the day and like the evening off and don't smoke any time before bed, there's a good possibility that I'm going to have a lot more vivid dreams and a lot more like easily recallable dreams than I would if I went to bed a little bit high. But I go to bed a little bit stoned most nights, so I don't
Right.
really,
That
that's
that
just a convenience thing.
I know, but
There's
I feel like that made me I was feel like I was dependent on that in a few ways. Like not doing it made like I got used to that, and I feel like it kind of slightly made me dumber. Like if I had like a really hard day at work or something, like I worked at a nursing home and someone dies or something, someone that had kicked me before, that had a personal moment with, who harassed or grabbed my ass, you know, and then they die, and then it's like wow, and then it's like, well, I'm gonna take an edible before I go to bed, and I decided that I don't ever want to be. If I'm not happy, I want to just be unhappy.
That's fair. I mean, I think that's one of the things that they advise people who take like recreational intoxicants like that is don't if you start finding yourself like using it to manage emotions or like as a response to stress or something like that, then you should probably take a step back and examine your consumption habits.
All right.
You know,
So
for
everything you have to say is so agreeable to me. Everything. Well,
well,
so what do you say? What would you say if I was a conservative? Because you said you're very progressive. So, well, I've already. I guess I haven't argued anything very conservative. What is something conservative that I think about women?
rack your brain, Smith. Come up with your
um,
most misogynistic piece of analysis and let's mull it over. I mean, who knows? We might agree on it more than you're expecting.
yeah, but all my, um,
I mean, the most controversial thing I've said in a little while was the sex robots thing, and you agreed with that.
oh
So
yeah,
I don't know why you expected that we were going to have any real fireworks in terms of our one-on-one
yeah. Okay,
discourse.
you said on Twitter that you think that like sex robots should be like given to like teenage boys.
Teenage boys and girls.
Okay.
Like, sex robots for a standard issued part of the sex ed curriculum. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so when I was a teenage boy, I was looking for everything. I was looing everywhere for something to put my dick in. Like I think
Yeah,
a lot of
that
boys
sounds
have
about
that.
right.
Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything appropriate. So,
And like when you like desperation produces some really problematic behaviors, and if you
Hmm.
happen to succeed with any of those problematic behaviors, it's like a really quickly self-reinforcing. And I think that there's probably just a lot of behaviors that get built into our habits at a really young age because we don't have a healthy or like universally available outlet for them. You know,
Hmm.
the sexual marketplace, especially for developing people, has a very disproportionate like who's participating, who has access, and who doesn't. You know, it's a
Hmm.
very small percentage of people who actually end up having access, and the rest feel like they're like losing out on or like being limited from something in the same way that like incels do in adulthood and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
I think that's why we see incel behaviors like emerge so early on in like young boys that get super toxically reinforced over the course of like adolescence and college age years where they're still competing with a really dense and really like hypersexualized marketplace of their peers, unlike they're going to experience in like adulthood and the times where it actually matters.
All right, I got one for you. Okay.
Hit
Oh,
me.
okay. So I believe that people. Okay, you're gonna fucking agree with me again. I know it. People that those activists that do the throwing soup or throwing ink on a
Mhm.
painting. Okay, I believe that I'm a painter. Like there's paintings behind me. I painted those. So from it just offends me more than it's gonna offend most people. Like some people like won't just won't care that much. But so I saw the argument that a lot of times there's like glass in front of it. It's not always the case, but sometimes there's glass in front of it and stuff, and so they know that they're not gonna damage it, but they just make it look like it. And I think if you're gonna lie to me and you're gonna make me feel like you did something that offends me to get my attention so that I'll listen to your message, I'm not gonna listen to you. I don't care what you have to say at all. Like you've proven that. Like I only have so many hours in a day, so if you're if and like I only have so much emotional attention, and if you've proven to be a liar, then why would I give you any emotional attention? I mean, I'm interested in learning about climate change, but not from you if you do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know that I agree with you because earlier you tweeted about it, and I literally said like,
Oh,
"Oh, well, I donate $50 to Big
yeah.
Oil every
Okay.
time somebody does
Now
this
now I
dumb shit."
remember. Now I
So
remember. Yeah.
it is like it is something that I think is a really frivolous way to spend your time and a really hollow way to claim that you're doing anything productive for the environment or whatever cause you choose to champion, because it is like it's a hollow gesture, causes no damage, carries no repercussions, and just serves to like get you in front of as many people as possible on social media. And I think those
Mhm.
kind of people are whores and they don't deserve my attention. Those are the kinds of people that I have a very dim view of, to be
But like
perfectly
if you
honest.
like I'll listen to the people that like chain themselves to a tree. Like they're not lying to me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're honest. They're really putting themselves out there. You know, but to pretend to damage property, it's like I don't
Yeah,
care.
I mean, yeah, it's basically it's the same kind of like virtue signaling that we make fun of people for when they do things like, I mean, it's not even the level of virtue signaling that like burning the Nikes you paid for or whatever would be, the kinds of things that like conservatives do whenever a brand that they like whenever a brand comes out with a progressive message of any kind, conservatives will be the first ones to go out and like smash all their M&Ms that they bought on camera just to make sure that everybody knows that they oppose this new genderless sexy candy or what like spokes candy or
Mhm.
whatever it is. But I mean these people, they're not even like taking a charge on the chin because they're literally just throwing soup at a glass case, and like at the most they might get like I don't know, do any of these people get charged with any kind of like property damage or any kind
Probably.
of like I haven't heard
Well, some
any
of
like
them. So someone was telling me
now I'm curious.
so I was one of my teachers was one of the people that restores paintings, and that's actually a lot of that is just painting over a painting. And like so, oh, they got fully restored. Yeah, somebody had to like basically repaint a lot of it, like with the fucking soup and shit. A lot of it probably can get wiped off, honestly, but still, a lot of it probably had to get repainted and stuff. Tomato's not a very strong pigment, so maybe it was fine, but um,
Okay, what did they get charged with? They did get arrested, but I don't know that they have any actual charges. Hmm. And that's like, the painting is unharmed, said the gallery. Well, that's good at least.
all right. Okay, I got one for you. I think intersection. This one's gonna get you. I think intersectionality is a virus.
You do.
Hmm.
You think intersectionality is a virus? Okay, well, you're gonna have to give me a little bit more.
This
To
is some
unpack
real,
there.
real hardcore conservative shit. I think that
You're a free
intersection.
association guy, or
What do you mean by that?
you?
I think intersectionality as a thought experiment is fine. As a practice, as far as activism, people will have these intersectional positions, and they'll insert themselves into any given situation. Say you have a union. If you have any friends that are in any kind of union, and someone will go in, well, we need like a diversity inclusion person, and then they're gonna like, so the union's on its last legs because they're a fucking union. They only have like so much money to go, and they're barely even struggling. And we have to spend all this money, and we have to change everything because it's racist, and we don't, there's too many white people involved, even though there's not even white people in the fucking city, and you need to fucking like it's just a way for narcissists to insert themselves into any given situation, and it never is constructive. It's always deconstructive, and as far as activism is concerned, it never actually moves anything forward.
I mean, probably, but it's good to it's good to do things that are like ideologically noble, practically ineffective, and just sort of like serve to make people feel good sometimes. Like,
Mm,
there is value in making people feel like their voices are being heard, even if that
mm-hmm.
person who's hearing those voices is literally in fucking distinguishable from everybody else there in the decision making process. Like, just because it seems like you want to disagree and I want to play devil's advocate here instead of saying like, yeah, actually these people are all pretty fucking useless by and large. Like, no, I think that there should be a Black Lives Matter diversity, equity, and inclusion officer in every publicly traded company in America. How about that? We
That
shouldn't
sounds
allow companies to
awful.
have more than 100 employees
They
without a diversity, equity, and inclusion supervisor.
they use that training. So Amazon knows that diversity dramatically lowers the rate at which people will collectivize and unionize and work against the company. And so they use that kind of shit when they see that when that people have like there's things that make you a high risk factor for that kind of behavior. And when you have a high risk factor, that's when they send in the diversity, equity, and inclusion guy to give you some training so that they can segment the population of their workers and make them all disunionized or like lose solidarity.
Creating special interest groups within a marginalized and underrepresented group of workers to, like, foment a little bit of like infighting and stuff is a tool that our benevolent capitalist leaders use to keep us in line, because if not, we will simply create an unsustainably disorganized work environment where the inmates run the asylum. And I think it's important for capitalism to be able to wield these tools
You
like a
like that?
hammer that it can bash our heads in with if we get out of line. Because that's what we do if a cow just doesn't behave and it keeps getting out of the pen. Like, we don't just like let that cow go. We kill that cow. So that's just how capitalism works, man.
Okay,
Herding
well,
cattle.
I've got an argument along those lines that you might
Oh,
like
fuck.
then.
You're on my team on that one.
No, 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 no. So I know that that's not where you're at. So, because you're just being devil's advocate now. So, I was talking to some people earlier, and I think that the response to the COVID crisis was horrible, but I think in a specific way. I think that basically they were making people do the caretaking for the government when they were making when people are skeptical and stuff, and so they're try to shame you. Oh, you need to fall in line. Blah blah. It's your fault. I think if they really want to take responsibility for the epidemic, they need to literally force people to get it. And like so this is what would have happened. Trump would have had to been like, okay, I'm mandating vaccines right now. He would have looked like an asshole. Everyone would have hated him. He would have gone down in history as a fucking asshole for the next 20, 30 years. And he would have had to live with that shame and embarrassment. And
Oh my God, can you imagine if he lives another 30 years?
that's true. But
Holy
instead,
shit.
all the people that were skeptical and scared, now those people have to live with the embarrassment instead of him.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and on the other side of that too, you have to remember that like history, although like although there is some bias depending on like how susceptibility to bias depending on how the next 30 years go. I mean, odds are that if he had forced the issue 30 or 40 years down the road, he would be talked about in a very positive light as someone that made a really hard, pragmatic decision that saved a fuck ton of American lives. And instead, he's, able to enjoy an echo chamber of praise and like weird sycophantic kind of apologia for like making the evil virus but not or evil vaccine but not forcing us to take it. It's weird how they have that cognitive dissonance and like not blaming him for the production of the, vaccine that they attribute to his administration, but just because Biden like was the one who forced us to take it, like it's his fault. It's a very inconsistent thought process. But yeah, I think there's something to be said about like the instant gratification of not being criticized here and now for decisions that obviously are going to look a lot better in hindsight.
Well, it's easy to criticize Trump, but what I'm really saying is when we hear about the truckers that fucking protested and like shut down like streets and stuff, for me, my heart cries out for those people because those are people who were scared and they genuinely thought that they were upset, and we're asking them to just fall in line and just deal with it. When if you really want those scared people to fall in line, you have to take responsibility for that aggression. You have to own it and be the bad guy. Don't make them be the bad guy because they're going to be scared. You're not going to be able to do anything about it. You know what I mean? Like, maybe there's a level of like where we want to like hear you out and educate you, but if that's not going to work, then just you're going to have to be the bad guy. That's what I think.
And how would you like that? Like, how would you prefer that to look? Like, it sounds like you don't like the way that it was handled. What do you think would have been like the right way to handle that situation with the truckers creating, blockades?
Well, Trudeau ran like a campaign of like demonizing everybody that didn't get the vaccine for like such a long time, and that's why all these people had such like ramped up like feelings about it. And when they realized it wasn't even that they were being forced to take it, it was that they were going to have to quarantine every time they crossed the border for like a certain period of time, so it would kind of destabilize their ability to really have their job. And they were like,
I have my thing about that though is I don't think that they're entitled to the specific jobs that they have or want to continue to have. So.
I know, but I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying that their emotional experience, it like we shouldn't be shaming them for that. Like it is scary. They believed what they believed, and like we shouldn't hoist the blame onto them. We should hoist the like you need someone like I was saying like Trump, if he was the good leader, the good leader takes the blame.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think that one of my biggest criticisms of Trump has always been like the lack of willingness to take any kind of responsibility for or ownership of any mistake whatsoever. Like there's something to be said about any person that just like swears off any kind of negative responsibility for any event ever being handled, even like anything other than perfectly. If if someone tells you that they've handled every event like 10 out of 10 perfectly, there's nothing they could have done better except for like the mainstream media lied about it so much. Like, yeah, eventually that kind of sounds like bullshit. And I think that there's a level of accountability that you expect from all of your like national leaders. But as far as like the subject of Trudeau, I would have to see like specific things that he said that you're referring to as like demonizing people. But I do think that the young leaders, like the young world leaders that we see on the international stage, typically have a pattern of coming off a little bit more like smug and elitist and a little bit like they're talking down to the average person. Obama kind of had the same, vibe about him and the same kind of reputation for just not being able to really get through to working class people the same way that he did to like the educated and the progressives and the really like, the people who were already bought into the message. So I know that we need to shame people when they do things out of selfishness that neglect the public good. So I don't know that I would like want that to be necessarily like left out of the rhetoric. I would need to see something that's like really bad to say he was demonizing.
Okay, so
people.
in the United States, we didn't take the government did not really ever take. I believe that the government should have been like, okay, the government is going to make a vaccine, and like this is happening. Your perfume factory, now that's a vaccine factory now. I'm sorry. We need to make this happen. Like something like along those lines, like some kind of big stance and being a central, like motivated effort, like from the top down to do it. And I think they just
kind of did that though. They just did it with they did it with manufacturers of medical supplies and stuff, not manufacturers of perfume, but like the exact thing that they did was like they issued a governmental order that said, this is what you guys need to use these facilities and these developmental capacity for. And we're basically like opening up the bidding for like the first person to get this done to be like tremendously
I know
rewarded.
like that. No. I'm not for that at all. Like that's just like so they just made it into a chaotic capitalistic like shit show. What I'm saying is like we should have had like government officials being the ones making all the shots. Like people who are beholden.
Officials don't do that stuff. They don't have the educational backgrounds
we would have needed like Dr. Fauci or whatever. He should have been the guy at the top. Like this is what we're doing, and he should have like been giving giving teams and shit that should have been organized in like the first weeks going into this, and then we should have like had so I just don't. I think that we should have had top down, like, so that we could actually trust what's going on, be completely transparent. There would be no issues whatsoever. Instead, we have this chaos where we're doing it like in this capitalistic shit show way, and no wonder people don't trust a single fucking thing, because like it's just pure chaos. And if you don't trust stuff, we're gonna shame you and tell you you need to like fucking get in line, stop being a pussy, stop being a moron, you're listening to fake news all the time. And sure, there's tons of like fake news and like fake like art, like people saying tons of like lies and bullshit, bad science, bad reading of articles.
You know what else there was though throughout basically this entire process?
What?
Levels of transparency almost completely unprecedented in the like field of medical science. We could see every single ingredient going into every single vaccine as they were developed before they ever went into a single human arm. And the reason that you may not understand that level of transparency that was put forth in this process is because it was completely overshadowed in like the media cycle by sensationalist claims about people dropping dead, about myocarditis and stuff like that, and people in this side of the conversation like falling into the trap of like over villainizing capitalism in its role in the development of the vaccines. Because yes, there was like a tremendous financial incentive to be the first person. There's also a tremendously important financial incentive to get it right. And there's a reason that we know that these companies aren't acting in like an overtly shady or illicit way, because every other company that's doing the same thing would have all the financial motivation in the world to like point that out and bring it to light. And they'd have all the capacity to, because the ingredient lists and all the information about manufacturing and stuff, like it's all laid bare. You can
Well,
see
then there you
everything.
go. Well, that makes perfect sense. So, maybe like why? So you are Pfizer, and you're going to have teams of people doing research on how to shit on Moderna and find ways to. And you're gonna get it published by someone else, but someone's gonna publish something that's gonna make Moderna look bad, and you're probably gonna fund that research. I just don't think that you should have this done. And I like, yeah, sure, you could say that's a conspiracy theory, but I think that the incentive for that to be the case is so not acceptable that like it should have just been like, this is not a capitalistic scenario. I think we should have done it like fucking China.
Well, I mean, China still sells the doses of vaccine. It's like every bit a capitalist endeavor, just like the US manufacturing and the Russian manufacturing. Like the whole point of governments, like aside from the pragmatic desire to make as many doses available to as many of their own citizens as possible without having to buy them, the secondary motivation for these companies to partner with specific governments is so they have the capacity to sell those vaccines to other governments
Right.
and other countries that aren't able to produce their own.
Well,
So I mean,
China never
I,
finished their vaccine.
on principle, I really like the idea of like decoupling the financial incentives from the medical marketplace as a whole. I just think it's kind of a pipe dream in the way that the world is currently organized to say any one of these things should have just been like done in a way that conforms most perfectly to all of our ideological desires, when in reality, like it hit all the pragmatic net like needs for me. It was transparent. It was done in a way that like adhered to all of the standard rigor that a FDA approved drug would have to meet, but it had a lot of those studies done after it was made available on a results determined basis to the population. And like there are a lot of things that have happened in exactly the way that I would want them to. And the only thing that really, really hasn't is the level of like dishonesty in the propaganda cycle, the level of dishonesty
Right.
in the way that people take and try to like regurgitate information.
I think that
And
that's all part of the capitalistic process, though. I don't think you can decouple that from all the you're like from the way that it was done whatsoever. Like, I think if you wanted to not have that, you're gonna have to just be like, this is the bureau of the vaccine. You're gonna get the vaccine, which coming from us, you, it was just what I was saying. China never finished their vaccine. Like, these companies were so powerful that they were able to get their way. Like what you're saying, they were able to get their way into China and make it worth it for them to just use them. And
and I mean, you know,
I would
there's some level.
if China finished their vaccine, I would way rather take theirs than fucking any of these other fucking companies,
Why?
because I would trust it. Because China has an absolute incentive for the people. They're not just like they're not a profit driven company. Their incentive is to make their people live.
No, their incentive is to grow their overall like influence and power base, and there's one part of that is like maintaining a healthy workforce and maintaining a populace that doesn't like overburden your healthcare system, but the other part of that is like being able to produce revenues that actually grow your GDP and make it competitive with the United States on a world scale and like on a global scale. And losing something like the race to produce the first effective COVID vaccines that can be monetized the world over every year for the rest of human existence is definitely not like a race that they wanted to lose from a capitalistic standpoint. And they didn't have any more incentive to keep their people healthy than the US does. I mean, you saw
Did
how.
you did you did you
Go ahead.
watch the movie Don't Look Up?
Yeah.
Okay. In that movie, what I'm describing is being dramatized, where you have private companies being squabbling and fighting to solve these problems, and as a result, it was just dog shit. And they're traumatized. You know what I'm talking about. You had these companies like with this like fake like visionary guy, like a Elon Musk like idiot, like um I don't want that. I think it should be absolutely top down.
Hey, I'll be right back. I need to go grab my baby.
Okay.
I am going to respond to that when I get back though, because I think that there's like we disagree about this way more than anything else. But I'll be right back.
All right, all right. Burden my healthcare system, Daddy. All right, I'm gonna read a little bit more poetry. Okay. Bitten on my rocket snatch, fit him like an ass crack. Lack a blast, flack him to him, slack past a blast stupid. Ass crack, crack hat on top, dance mask, drink fast or get last. Boobs! Hee bitches got 'em. Hee ho ho. Flaunt me softly, nuzlock me jock. Strap on black of Funko Pop. Pop it out, it never stops. Hey! Do. Stop on block, stop, block it off, clean the top, you drop it off, flock the cocker at the woman's foot locker. I can top drop, but the pills in my ass. Kill food drill do. This is simple, grass drop fast. Bean purple melt, I got pussy on the felt, drank on the mountain, fart self go loud, pee floose juice. Floose juice. Pee floose juice, become the juice, become the pussy juice slut, become the anti-fist bump, lost all the nut, fuck the doa. Yeah. Piss on my ass, I got nipples, cash back. Flat chest daddy, I got addies. Don't be sad, I fuck on a bearskin in my bachelor pad. Not a maxi pad, I got ad time, this is not a fad. Yo, new phone, who dicks? Can I touch on a penis real quick? Thanks, man, spank my butt. Always press the button, bitch, I wanna start something. Fuck my luck, I fucked it up, I just too drunk. Smells like skunk, I just wanna get a gun. I won't shoot myself, just wanna have fun. Yo, fuck, okay, I just wanna eat food. In the mood, for a slice, I'm a regular dude. For the price of one, I can get you free lunch. If the paycheck stops, eat Captain Crunch. I'm speaking to the real man, the real homies, the real woman, the real homies. Pink beans looking down. Oh wait, that's me. I see a man besides baby. Do not do goo ga. Yeah, I rap #1 all star. Yeah. Give a man a match and it'll be warm for a second. Light a man on fire and it'll be warm for the rest of his life. Give a man a match and he'll be warm for a second. But light a man on fire and he'll be warm for the rest of his life. Hey yo, what up, Badat? Smegma rules. Tell him it's candy and shake it. You're so mean to me. I asked for one thing. Spandex paparazzi. You never got to me. Blue-green saliva in my patty. Plagiarism. Tubes of truth paste. Have some cake. Nice poopy pimple pop. Stupid imp. Simple sauce. It was a murder for Sunder. I'm a champ on a list. I got tampon fists. Kiss the distant little missies. Drinking 40s in my 50s. Fist the dick, I am nifty. Ain't in Tokyo, I'm drifting. 5 nights at Freddy's. 5 nights at Fred's. These nuts made of lead. Never said I was on Molly on my dick and ballsy. Several men with crackers all cerebral palsy. Give a cracker down with Polly. Here's a snack. I got my jollies. Yeah, baby. keys and a tea. I got nipples on my knees. Free the whales, open sails, hail a crab. You mad lads? My daddy dabs for Addy. I can vouch for him. The ladies think I vouch for them. They crazy, only vouching for my baby. Crayon drawing, holla at your boy, ass pirate, bitch a whore. Got a koi pond, don't be coy with me. I am sore when I go pee. I drink soy, but I'm a boy. See me go, I gotta roll bok choy. Adderall, Pac-Man, tennis balls, cut a hole so I can put my dick inside. I eat ghosts when I'm alive. My name is Trudeau. Yes, it's Trudeau. I'll do blackface just for you, though. My boobs are filled with taco meat. I'm upside down, now rescue me. Trajectory, I need to pee. A single death's a tragedy. Burger mi casa, spinach pundit boy. Flip burger, flipberg, ain't not damn on that ass. Flapjack man, psh. And you think stank and fancy, ha ha ha, and a way. What's you? Hold on, I gotta scroll. No, I gotta scroll because I didn't format this one. What's your protein? Cause I can really sympathize. Oh, dough, not got get. Do not forget, bitch. Love you. Lump of shug, lump of money, hey. Can't be Tuesday, no, cause the Splendip ain't soggy and the biscuits ain't good yet. I can't be sitting on my ass when I need to create a whole new casserole from catsup and mustards. What the fuck you think, I'm a fancy ass hoe? Nah, shove before I shmoo. Okay, see you at the laundromat. There's a kid.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
All right.
Hurry.
No, don't worry about it. Okay. Monkey 1 2 3 HELLO. Chat, give me some lyrics. I got more here, but I want some lyrics from chat. Smith, I think he heard. Nah. I'm 100 men. You're an island. Means coming up from everything the sponge removes. Ungin. I hate carts. This is one for the kipper. Now you gotta scroll, now you pay the toll. Boob bite, haha. Dildo is delicious. Shout out to Zeus. Is Samus? Is Samus, Metroid? Is Samus short for Samantha? Because I think that's the question we're all asking. Is Samus short for Samantha? It seems obvious. I want gamer girl Ganshi water, like the famous river, the Ganges in India. I want gamer girl Ganshi bath water, so I can bathe in the Ganges with gamer girl filth. Okay. So based. Let's see what else I got here. skipped some in here, but let's see. Hear my rap. Do not. Whoa, do not. Do not. Yup. Do not. All right. I won't. Yup. Let's see what else I got. Documents. Poems. Advil's not enough, I'm handy. Fuck me, wear me down and sand me. High strung. Do. Bird. In the night a bird. In the night a bird. Silence. But the hum of the sky casts a dark reflection on the paned window. The bird is motionless. As I stare out into the blackness, as I turn my light on, as I press my face against the glass, nothing but blackness. Here's a document. This document's labeled "Curl Up in a Vagina." The man said he wanted to curl up in a vagina. If I could just be a baby. If I could just climb Mount Tit for some milk. I'm not a baby, I'm a man. Where it counts. I suck the udders dry. I'm a man. Bugs in the dirt. Wake up, kid. Get the hell out of my truck. To the curb. Pine tree come. Fucking needles everywhere. Now to take a nap. Where's the rock in my boot? There's a rock in my other boot. Sitting in the dirt. Come home. Sex Game Hotel. Another door passed by. The colony inside is writhing. The bones of the building crack. Your best friend lives here. The end. I'm friends with Yoda. Oh, this one's a big one. No, it's not. I'm friends with Yoda and I changed his diaper. Silky, silky. As the dapper young man, he sucked me off. Drink coffee. Drop your panties, never stop. I just want to drink you a little bit of piss. It's impossible. Fist me to the wrist so I can't sit again. I'll stand at Denny's, your friendly baby monkey. I think chimpanzees are sexy. Feel me flippy floppy, it's a dippy sip mama. Lucky lucky final pansies. E14 will never fail to fit my peenie. Mommy and me, fucked you should have seen. She nuts and creams, it's dreamy. This is what happens when you touch grass. I turned gay and glued rhinestones on the inside of my ass. I think this is a good time for this. This is the time to unveil. The transformation is complete. Thank you. Oddly fitting. Oddly fitting. It's like I know a streamer I've watched a couple times, goes by Popo and Duck. It's on Twitch. And something he said, not gonna take credit. He said that streaming is like taking care of a baby. You just swaddle the baby. Who's the baby? Who's the baby, chat? Who's the baby? Who's the baby, chat? You're the baby. Good baby. What's with these girls and their horoscopes and their Gaelic butter? Literally you. What is this one? If only you had access to the well of thoughts that consume these silent hours of her life, you could write a beautiful novel. We all Tumblr. If I only had a choker like she does. I've been awake for my whole life. I'm reading too much of this golden poetry. I should be saving. I hate them. I hate them. Horoscope. Horoscope. I don't need no horoscope. That's a good one. Clock cunt. Chicks gotta learn to go no scope. 360. I think there's always a time. I don't want to pull out all the tricks in my arsenal. I think it's time to stop. Ban this user, Sockrabbit. Ban this user. Sockrabbit, ban this user. No. It's time to stop. It's time to stop. It's time to pause. Pots. It's time to pots. We got a pots. Pots the stream. I have to be potsed. Yeah. The sheriff is back. He said, stop. This can be turned into a beat. You're in for it now, buddy. Says Saliva. What are you gonna do? Drool on me? Buddy? You gonna drool on me, Mr. Saliva? He says, do not.
Okay. I got a few more minutes, and I gotta put my daughter down for the night. If you still want to continue this conversation after that, I'm totally up to come back or circle back another time for a more extensive vaccine convo.
While you have been entertaining your child, I have been entertaining my chat, and I'm also getting burnt out. So
cool. Well, I was hoping to, talk I was planning to only have like about an hour to talk tonight anyways, because of just like the fact that I have family visiting and a little bit of chaos going on downstairs. But what
do you mean by that? Chaos going downstairs? What do you mean by that? What are you talking about? It sounds a little...
It's an Antifa hellscape down there, man. We're working on Molotov cocktails, baby-sized Molotov cocktails and stuff, and their tiny little hands can get deep down into the bottle and really ensure proper soakage. So, you got to use that labor while you have it, and that's what we do over here. We exploit resources when we find them.
All right.
So,
okay.
Like a true capitalist, you know what I mean?
What were we even talking about? I just want these
about vaccine development and what went wrong with the truckers and all that shit.
I just think that the government should do it, and I don't like private companies doing it.
Well, I'm definitely down to talk about that a little bit more because, I think that the intention there is right, but I don't think that the capacity for the government to be able to do something like that, as a standalone agency in the midst of a really time-sensitive crisis, is very practical when you start picking apart the pieces of what they're actually prepared to do versus what they're prepared to direct other people to do and kind of monitor and supervise the process. So, there's a lot to unpack there, though. Obviously, I don't think that we're going to get very much further than that right now.
Yeah.
But we should definitely circle back to it, okay?
Maybe.
All right, my daughter's freaking out. Okay. It was good talking to you, man.
Good
Have a
talking
good night.
Good
Talk
to you.
Soon.
Okay. All right. I have a stream with Sleepy on Sleepy Sunday at 8:30 p.m. EST. Sleepy Sunday. We're going to talk about autogynephilia, and femboyism. Thank you very much, Clark Hunt, for sharing portlandisBURNING's Twitter and his Twitch. And their links are also in my bio. So, am I going to be on the Max Call-in thing? What Max Call-in thing? Taking it to the max? You mean the call-in show? The hotline? No. No. I'm not going to be on the hotline. No plans for that. I bid you adieu. I will see you on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. EST with Sleepy. Autogynephilia. Bye-bye.